July 27, 2017. Man, this is crazy. I wasn't even supposed to trade today, but apparently the market started crashing, quote unquote, but it's nothing but a pullback. And as a matter of fact, if you guys watch my recap video from yesterday, I mentioned this. I talked about it. I think it was minute 950 when I was talking about this, and it was starting to show some topping here. You know, you got red, because it opens, it closes red, it opens, it closes red. So you start to see some topping around this area, and that's what happened today. The gap to fill was down here, 945. I even mentioned that in my recap video, 945, and that's exactly where it's at. So I played it based off of this. Um, like I said, I was busy with work. I was not supposed to trade, but once I started seeing that the market was pulling back, I went ahead and started pulling up some charts. And the one I saw right away was FTI. FTI was pretty much trying to get above its opening, and I was lucky enough to caught it just in time. So you know your risk here. I think it was 28.50. I had set my risk to 28.65, and like I mentioned, the way I'm doing my risk is if I'm risking to 28.65. I think when I started was at 28.30, so I'm risking about 30 cents. And if my max risk is $200, I divide that by 30 cents, and that gives me about 600 shares. So I ended up going with 600 shares here, 28.30. I was looking for the VWAP, but at the same time, I had to take into consideration this resistance and now support. So I ended up shorting at 28.30, like I mentioned, and then began to chart like around 28.11. Very lucky I did that because look at this bounce. My aggressive goal was $28. At first, I covered about 400 shares, and then I left about 150, 200 shares open. But this green candle right away started showing me that buyers were coming in, timing sales, and the level two. So I ended up going that with a short. So right after I covered that one, I noticed that Nflx, and let's take a look at Nflx. I'm still holding this as my swing trade on my small account. Um, I still have a lot of support, and I'm willing to hold this for even a month if I need to. But anyways, the reason I did buy it at 180 is if you look at the 30-minute time frame, this is where it started building some support around the 180 area. So plus, besides the fact that there's some support here, it's also a psychological level, 180. So I kept a close eye on it. Given that I already have one with FTI, I minimized my risk and I said I'm willing to risk about $50 all the way down here to below 179. So my entry was around here, 180. And same thing. So I'm using the same approach, and hopefully this helps a lot of you guys. If I'm willing to risk $50, my entry is going to be around 180.31. So it's about $1.31. It gives you about 40 shares. So I ended up, I think, just rounding up 40 shares. So I wanted 40 shares there, and that's a simple calculation you can make. And I ended up, since I was risking about $1.50, I wanted $1.50 back. So that's what it gave me. And this was a quick win off the bounce. And as you notice here, it was already starting, the buyers were starting to come here just by looking at these wicks. You can start seeing the wicks are moving higher, higher. And yes, you do have a push down. But then once on this 5-minute time frame, once this bottoms out here, that's what gave me the signal to go long. And on top of that, also my drop it dimes was telling me to take the look for the long, and that's what I did. So that's it. I didn't want to trade anymore. I made my daily goal within 5 minutes, literally. And even though I was tempted to go in here for a short on VEV, S&P 500, like I mentioned, it's already closing its gap. And I'm pretty sure it's going to bounce here. And as you can see on the daily chart, S&P 500 filled the gap. Now I'm pretty sure it's gonna start building a range within this area here. So fill the gap. Now time to move up, and that's exactly what it's doing. So I mean, I won't be surprised even if it drops down a little bit more, but it's going to start building a range, around this area. So I won't be surprised if it starts making another flag like it did before, dropping down here and hanging around the 245 area, maybe down to 245, 244 within the next week or two. That'll be fine. But then we should have another push up. So, just like anything, stocks, they need a breather, and that's what it's doing now, a breather. But, just given by this wick here on the daily, you can see the buyers are coming in again. and stepping up. And the same thing with me. I'm getting a bunch of alerts on my phone for dip buying opportunities. So that's what I'm also looking at. Anyways, crazy day, and I'm glad I was on the right side. And again, let's stay humble. So I'll talk to you guys later.